paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I
yes,
don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
So, if there's a Cars cinematic universe, does that mean that, like, the old car that was Burt Reynolds in the first one, like, canonically fought in World War II?
Doc Hudson,
Yeah.
the Hudson Hornet.
Yeah.
He
You
won
think
7 Piston Cups.
Yeah.
And he fought in World War II. Everyone knows this.
Everyone, oh, it's already part of his established car. Look, dude, I just have kids. I don't, like, pay attention to Cars lore, man.
One of my friend groups decided one day to make their Discord server all Cars Universe themed. And so all of us had to pick a server name and server profile picture based on the Cars Universe on a whim. And I chose the South Tower.
But DJ, the buildings are not sentient.
Why not?
Because they're not. Like,
I
have you
don't
ever
have-
watched Cars 1, 2, 3,
That was
Planes
in the rules.
1, 2, all of the Mater's Tall Tales from the Cars
That was
Cinematic
in the
Universe?
rules of the server.
Did they get Larry the Cable Guy to do the Mater stuff?
Yes.
Oh, man, that guy will do anything for money.
Well, I mean, these are all pretty old, I imagine, but they have like a dozen shorts with Mater and Lightning McQueen.
Oh,
on
those
Disney
are all
Plus.
probably on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, welcome into Brainstorm Brewery, everybody. You got a little dadcast action there as we have been navigating children,
Yeah,
but welcome
like,
in.
everyone who listens to this podcast either is a dad or like is young enough to have seen those movies. So everyone's gonna think that.
Or has slept with a dad.
That's true.
Covering
I
our
fucked Corbin's-
bases.
I did fuck Corbin's dad.
Covering our bases. Lots of people listen to this show, Jason. We get people listen from other countries where the world is very different, Jason, and they don't have sex with my dad.
Or spill their oat milk all over the floor.
One time we tried that, we accidentally gave Leo apple juice in Europe that had regular milk extract in it, and he broke out in hives. So oat milk it is around
This
here.
is oatmeal cookie flavored beer, and it's delicious.
Yeah, Jason, it's good you're here with the beer shout out this week because Cass is not here this week, obviously. Welcome into the show. It's me, DJ, and Jason is back. And Jason's got the beer shout out this week. Or is
Oh,
this
nobody
just a
bought
shout
this
out-
for me.
just a shout out to the beer? Well, while we were
Look,
learning
I
more
realize I should have said something, but you gave me nothing to work with, man. We
Yeah,
haven't
it happens.
established a
It
rapport.
happens.
I've been
That's
going
this
for
whole
a while.
podcast, is Corbin
We're
giving
just
us
shaking
nothing to
off
work
some
with.
of the rust
Look,
here.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? That's what Wayne Gretzky said.
Wayne Gretzky also partied with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, so like I don't
Why'd you have to
really
tell me
always
that?
care what that notorious gambler.
I shook that man's hand
has
once
to
when I was like 10. Why would you say that to me?
You shook the great one's hand.
Yeah, my grandpa took me to introduce him one time. It was a thing. I got to hold the Stanley Cup too, or a replica that they travel with. Who knows? But it was kind of fun.
No, the Stanley Cup just goes places.
Well, there you go. I got to.
There's a dude whose whole job is to put it back in its case and rub it with a diaper. Like that must be a sick job. It's
There's
like,
a bunch of crazy
you know,
jobs like that in
technically-
professional sports.
like that guy was probably a Mountie. They're like, you protect this thing with your life.
Look, there are crazy jobs in professional sports. Like there is a family of people who are generationally enriched because they. I'm not.
They
making
make
this up.
the Super Bowl rings.
They make the mud that MLB uses as part of their process for making a baseball, and 250,000 baseballs are used every year in MLB. And I'm not joking. A family sells them some kind of mud from New Jersey, and this family has done so for generations. And that's a real thing. Look, people probably think what we do is bullshit too.
Oh no, but it's not. We didn't lie with superstition though. We didn't be like, "Oh, you need the special mud."
It was actually one of the most insane facts I've heard because, like, I knew that. Oh, like the baseballs are made in X other country or territory. I don't know that.
That's
but
like people like, if it's not from Brooklyn, it's not a real bagel. They don't got the right water.
Well, there's a whole thing about how the baseballs, change, how very small variations in how the baseballs are made can have huge impacts on the field, which is very fascinating. So to quote unquote fix all of that, MLB simply bought Rawlings, so now they own it. That's cool. What could go wrong there? It's
The
not like when
butterfly
MLB
effect. If one tiny little piece of dirt is wrong in this baseball, then another bird dies to a fastball. Like,
Well, there was one where like the stitching was made differently on a run of baseballs. The stitching was 9% thicker, and it increased the velocity of the balls by a noticeable rate, which increased home runs. Like a bunch of really crazy stuff like that just sciences out to
increase the velocity of the ball.
Well, maybe velocity. Maybe velocity is the wrong word. The aerodynamics of the ball, right? So it made it travel at a higher velocity, I guess.
is it just better grip? Like you can get your fingers on it harder because the stitching is.
No,
I don't want to speculate. I don't.
The video on it was, they made these changes, and then like someone with a PhD went back and studied thousands of the balls from the season, and it was this particular run had stitching that was 9% thicker, which for whatever, maybe it made it bouncier off the bat. I don't know. Right?
It's crazy they can change something like that in baseball, but in Magic the Gathering, you change a card frame and like half the people playing swear to God they're gonna fucking quit forever.
Well, it's like Nadu, right? You just change one little word on Nadu,
yeah.
And next thing you know, it's the best deck in Legacy.
So don't make any changes to Magic. If Legacy isn't completely ruined, if Legacy's in a decent place, don't make any changes to Magic.
Well, conceptually, Magic does need to move forward. We're in our 31st year or whatever now.
It's about time we thought more about Legacy. Nobody, if you go to the Legacy subreddit, all the posts there are about how like we've forgotten about Legacy and no one cares about them. And it's really not fair that Magic has spent so much time catering to EDH just because those players spend tens of thousands of dollars a year and Legacy players haven't bought a new card since Murktide Regent. I really think that we need to be nicer to the Legacy community and say, they're there, guys.
I mean, I will say that to echo at least this sentiment from that community, I think Modern Horizons 3 straight up ruined some Magic for me. The top 10 played cards in Modern right now, they're all in the Boros Energy deck.
Oh,
It's just ruined, man. And like, you can't ban one card out of it. They're going to have to ban the One Ring because that's in 60% of the decks or whatever. They're going to have to ban.
Oh, they can't. Oh my God! Probably. Imagine tournament players forcing them to ban the One Ring. If Post Malone wasn't the guy that had that card, they would be so pissed.
I mean, look, I think that's real life. I think you need to ban the One Ring. I think you need to ban Guide of Souls, most likely. You might need to ban another card from that deck, in my opinion. Probably a Johnny. That's my opinion. That it will take actual 3 bans to put Modern back into a safe place just from Boros Energy.
Ooh.
They announced when the ring came out that they were okay with banning it. And the price of that card has significantly declined since the summer, where it was cresting at over $100. And I don't think that anybody is going to be surprised when it does get banned. And I don't think that there are any player reservations about like, oh, they're too scared to touch the Universes Beyond card. Like the Lord of the Rings set was a year and a half ago.
If it did get banned, that would be fine, because that means it's always going to be less than $100, and it's a card in EDH, but you like to have $100 EDH cards, but at the same time, you don't like people to play them. And that was where Mana Crypt was for the longest time. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So if someone has a Mana Crypt, it's like, okay, well, you clearly are... Right? You clearly are playing a different kind of EDH or whatever.
Or you're just old.
Yeah. It was just one of those cards that you didn't see. So, like, I don't mind when someone plays the One Ring, and I don't mind when I go 3 months without anybody casting it. So
Yeah, I hadn't run into it very often in Commander. I did a couple weeks ago have somebody start doing one ring loops on us and untap shenanigans, and they just drew 14 cards or whatever in a turn cycle. And I
But
was like,
like,
oh,
if it
I
wasn't
get
the
it.
One Ring, it would
I
be
get
a
it.
different artifact. Like artifact decks
That's
just
fine.
do hordes
Agreed.
like that.
Agreed.
So.
It's whatever.
At least it's an artifact that wins the game kind of fast.
In modern though, it's surely problematic. It has the Sphinx's Rev effect where you would Sphinx's Rev, which gives you another Sphinx's Rev, and I mean it doesn't feel quite that egregious in that was an instep thing or whatever. But you play the ring, you pass the turn, you're going to draw 2 cards plus your draw step, you're going to get 3 cards. Well, I guess with the draw step, you actually get 4 cards out of the ring before you have to spend mana again from your ring turn, right? You've gotten plus 4 cards at the cost of 1 life and gained protection. And then that usually draws you into another one or draws you into a board wipe or whatever. So it's pretty unhealthy, but the whole Boros energy deck is unhealthy. Modern is not in a good spot. Legacy is getting dominated by Nadu. Modern Horizons as a concept, I don't know as a concept if it's completely flawed, but I will say that Modern Horizons 3 was a failed set. I'm pretty confident in saying that at this point.
I was going to end that bit by saying some positive things about Legacy because everything they're saying is right. Yeah, it's funny that it sounds whiny to me because I agree with them. I mean, yeah, I agree with those crybabies that don't spend any money.
Well, that's what it comes back to.
I wish their format was better for them, and I wish I still kept all my Legacy because it's my favorite format.
That's kind of what it comes back to is people spending money, right? I mean, Legacy as a format, this obviously touches upon the reserved list, but it's just not a huge driver of sales or profit for Wizards of the Coast, and sort of by design in that it's supposed to be the old stuff.
Legacy is a treat we get to have if we keep all the other formats healthy and flourishing.
Yeah, right? Modern Horizons has just been problematic all around. That's the
Legacy is it's the beautiful fruit on the tree of Magic, and if we start ignoring our fundamentals and don't grow the game from the base up, Legacy is going to be the first thing to wither, right? So we're seeing that. So I don't know, maybe we should invest more in Modern. I don't know, man. Well, stop trying to fix things. Leave them alone.
I think we're actually maybe on a good path here with I don't know if it's ironically, but with the Universes Beyond coming to Standard, we're not going to have the power level outliers of a direct to Modern set by design, right? They made Lord of the Rings and they aimed the One Ring at Modern power level. They aimed Orcish Bowmasters at Modern power level. And they did all of these things on purpose to sell cards, which is fine. That is the point. However, it just represents such an insane amount of outliers to the format that it amounts to forced rotation. And it's just absolutely patentably absurd that Modern Horizons 3 did that to Legacy. That is beyond the pale in terms of you're almost spitting in the face of players of we told you to buy these old formats and invest in old cards. And just kidding. Here's a premium price set with direct.
That set was supposed to give Legacy exactly Psychic Frog, right? Wasn't it?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Because that's all Legacy needs. It needs a Psychic Frog every couple of years. Yeah, to shake it up.
To get banned. What? To make Delver the best deck again and then get a 2-drop banned. Yeah. That's how it goes.
But that's still a shakeup.
I agree. Look, that is the true life cycle of Legacy is play the format for a year, play something that beats Brainstorm, then they'll print a new 2-drop that breaks a Brainstorm deck, and then they'll ban the 2-drop instead of banning Brainstorm. Dreadhorde Arcanist went. There was a lot of talk of Psychic Frog needing to go for the same reasons. It all just comes back to the Days shell decks,
Well, 2 years ago we had White Plume Initiative, and Seasoned Dungeoneer and Ancient Tomb.
And we had a brief period where non-Brainstorm was the best deck, right? But I actually played a Legacy tournament during that period where Mono White Initiative or whatever was.
I wish they hadn't banned
it. Was so dumb. It was so dumb, Jason.
But people could have overcome it. I'm positive people could have overcome it with absolute jank from Mirage, and
dumb,
I want that White Plume Adventure to be around long enough for players to figure out a way out of it.
Maybe the problem
there wasn't a way out of it when you get it on turn 1 though.
Yeah, like
you H2 Chromox, play the guy, and then you have a clock.
In the game, which it was force of will or bust, which just leads to more Delver decks or whatever too, right? Like it was just the stompy decks that have always.
Like how 3-drops are like we can't print a
it's
good
because you
card
can't interact.
at 3 mana.
It's because it's just that you shouldn't print mechanics that are uninteractable. It would be like if the 3-drop gave you an emblem, because that's essentially what it does, right?
It'd be like playing a Loro in Legacy.
It's just that's the real problem, is that doesn't interact within the normal rules of Magic, and therefore breaks the rules of Magic.
It does interact within the rules of Magic. You deal combat damage and take it back. It's just not at a pace that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Because the Monarch is also fine. Like, we have the Monarch. We've had the Monarch since 2014. But
it's interesting. Like, the Monarch wasn't made for Legacy, and the Monarch just actually became a staple of Legacy, which isn't a bad thing per se. But like,
that's why uninteractable mechanics aren't inherently bad.
Yeah, because it gave White something it could do proactively by playing Palace Jailer. Like Palace Jailer for the White Weenie decks, like, revolutionized what it felt like the deck was capable of doing. And I think
agree.
that's
why they lucked out, and that Palace Jailer specifically fit specifically into that deck in Legacy and happened to be good. And
because Palace Jailer was designed because they needed a good card with that mechanic. They didn't design Palace Jailer trying to sell booster packs.
Exactly. Like, they lucked out that it worked out and it became a thing. They made the initiative, and it just anyway.
I'm blaming capitalism for all of this. If we're up to Richard Garfield, they never would have made an expansion outside of Arabian Nights. So, like,
all right. Speaking of capitalism, let's get to some Magic finance here. TCG Black Friday sale was last week. Having just covered all the Pokemon cards and Magic cards that moved over the past week for TCG Player, I can tell you that the Black Friday sale most certainly had people out. DJ, do you want to go ahead and talk about, from your perspective, what it looked like?
I mean, it crashed the website, which is not great. Like, a lot of people had problems that I saw in the vendor Discord of, like, people being unable to check out with carts that they spent hours building and preparing, and that's the advice they give you is, if you want to take advantage of the sale and you know exactly what you want, build your cart in advance, log in, do all the prep stuff, and then a lot of people got, like, errored and had their carts dismantled, or their cart optimizer unoptimized everything. So I personally don't buy cards during these sales, not even just because of that, but just because that's not part of my business model. And so I just kind of watched from afar and watched a lot of people vent their frustrations in Discord about the sale not working for them. But one of the more interesting data points that I saw was at least one or a very small number of people chose to basically buy out the Brothers War retro serialized cards.
Yeah.
So that's interesting
for sure. Do you think it was just like what you say? Do you think it was like one person decided this is my thing and I'm rich, or?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of screenshots of several people's orders, some emails basically saying, like, this one person made an order of 6 different serialized cards, and then other people were sharing the same screenshot of, like, all mine sold out in one sale. And so, I mean, nobody was, like, explicitly naming customers or anything, but
sure.
It's easy. The data is publicly available of, like, you can check the Gilded Lotus page for serialized cards and, like, look at the sales data, and, like, there's a lot of sales for one day and there's none left on the market. So
I think it's not libel if I phrase it like this. Boy, would that be funny if that was Ben Blyweiss's retirement plan.
Any good sentence starts with, I think it's not libel if I phrase it this way.
Yeah, right? Wouldn't that be funny? I'm not saying Ben Bleiweiss is the mastermind behind all these buyouts. I'm just saying that is a Ben Bleiweiss brain level idea.
No, I don't know about that one. That one might be pushing it.
That would be
the first one you could get away with. That one,
dude,
no.
It is hilarious if he did that. I don't think it's him, but if it was, that's very funny.
We have precedent for this with the Kaladesh masterpieces. It's been a very long time since that happened. I believe it was 2017 or 2018 that a small number of people decided these were too cheap and decided to make an organized decision to just buy all of them and list them for a higher price and see if it stuck. You can make whatever emotional complaints you have about that, but something capitalism, unregulated free market, these are all luxury goods anyway, blah blah blah. But like Mana Crypt was around $100 for the masterpiece one back then. Not the regular one. The masterpiece one was $100. Soul Ring was like sub 100, and people were scoffing at the idea of a Soul Ring being over $100. And they were right. I personally don't think that this person is going to turn a profit on the Brothers War ones. If so, I think it's a very, very long hold time. And I mean, some of the Brothers War retro serialized cards that were on TCG Player were listed very, very high. And it was just a brute force show of capital to just like, nope, all of these ones are just gone, and I want all of them. And time will tell whether they're right or not. But like, I don't think they are. But the future of serialized cards has also been like kind of weird, and the past serialized cards have been kind of weird. Like the whole thing is just uncharted territory for Magic to an extent.
DJ, I have a question for you though. On the note of this, people have a hard time keeping up with all the sets. I have a hard time keeping up with this actually. When was the last time they did serialized? Are they doing it moving forward? Like, what is the current state of serialized cards? Do we know?
Well, Innistrad Remastered comes out roughly a month and a half from now. Okay. Innistrad Remastered has a serialized card, I believe, which is Edgar Markov. It is Edgar Markov's first reprint since the Judge Foil, and no reprints before that since Commander 2017. Clearly a very popular commander, one of the most popular commanders on EDH Trick, and just a very easy build around for one of the most popular tribes. And Innistrad Remastered is debuting the headliner concept of cards, which is where they will pick one card from every set to headline it. And to quote them, crank all of the exciting knobs for awesome collectability, which they've kind of overdone. They've definitely overdone, in my opinion, over the past few years with like, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know all my gripes about how there's way too many showcase frames, way too many extended arts, borderless, way too many variants. And so I am hoping that this is narrowing that scope, as I have requested and prayed for and offered to the gods with tea leaves and everything in the past, and crossed my fingers and all that stuff. So I am hoping the Innistrad Remastered has a smaller number of showcase frames or cards with exciting versions, dilute that down to just a few specific chase cards. I think one of the best examples of how they've done serialized cards in the past is the Praetors, where you could open the Phyrexia Albi one, and you could get a Urabrask, Jin-Gitaxias, etc. And the art was unique in addition to them being serialized. So if you want that artwork, you do have to pay the crazy number. And the regular version's fine. Like, you can just buy the $10 Urabrask or whatever. But, like, making it so there is a very special version out there for the collector is a good idea. And, I mean, the first time
they do a thing, it's cool, and then you try to base all your rules on what happened with the one cool thing, and then it's just a thing they always do, and it's just like, oh, it sucks now.
I do think it's... Well, that's why I asked, because I didn't know even how often they're doing them. I'll say this. I like the idea of the headliner thing of a set, right? So, like, Pokemon right now, the current set is incredibly popular. It has a $500 Pikachu you can pull out of it. Obviously, there's a $10 and a $1 version of that Pikachu, but that's it. There's 3 versions of that Pikachu. There's not, maybe there's a 4th, but there's not like
13 to fairies.
Right. There's not that many versions of it. So it's very clear that people chase this thing, right? And then they have stuff. So the headliner concept of that, Edgar Markov, huge card, a lot of reprint equity, rather than doing Edgar Markov and 5 other cards and doing 500 of each. And then it's just, you very quickly end up with tens of thousands of serialized cards that start to, with minimum, with mediocre demand, actually keeping it to one a set, knowing that when I pull this set, I'm looking for Edgar Markov serialized. That's the pull. I think that helps sell packs, like in the way that the One Ring helped sell packs for Lord of the Rings, right? Like, that's the thing we're chasing.
Yes, the $15,000 One Ring is
the people who are just mindlessly. Have you ever watched people crack boxes of sports cards?
Well, I've been doing a lot more of that recently because my 8-year-old's gotten incredibly into sports cards.
Oh,
and
good.
I've
I
learned
like
a
when
lot
kids
about
do it because kids give a f. And adults, they're like, "This isn't the one jersey card I'm looking," and they just throw everything like in one pile.
It's crazy how huge the market is.
It's like they're
there.
just like yanking on a slot machine. It's the same behavior. It's crazy. I don't necessarily want Magic to. I don't know. I don't want to gatekeep those people out because they have a lot of money, but like, I don't want to like weaponize gambling addiction as the way to make Hasbro money. I just want my game to be
Magic's
fun.
been doing that for 31 years, Jason.
Yeah.
Well, no, but like, there's doing it and then there's doing it.
I mean, sure, I guess, but like, they've really, I don't know. It feels like degrees at this point, right? Like, obviously, I think that obviously to me the key difference is the utility. People do actually play with Magic cards. And while Ben and I have found fun ways to play with his baseball cards, for the most part, they sit in his binder and he pulls them out when we're watching a game or something, right? Which is cool, which is great. That's the point of the cards, right? Baseball cards are great. But yeah, I did not know how much of a market there was for gambling on pulling the incredible rare stuff out of them.
And to answer your question, Corbin, the history of serialized cards over the past year, because a lot of people might have forgotten or just been blindsided by different sets coming out, the most recent serialized cards were the historical figures from Assassin's Creed over the summer. You had Cleopatra, Leonardo da Vinci, and one other one, Socrates, I think. And those were one of 500s, and they were all in Greek or different native languages, but they were all like a similar concept to the headliner cards. There's 3 of them. No other card in the set serialized. Very cool exclusive version that you can just get the one of. And they've maintained their value pretty well for what they are. I mean, they're like $300 to $400 a piece, depending on which one you get.
Yeah.
Prior to that, Eldrazi Titans and Modern Horizons 3. Again, just 3 cards. Yeah, Ocelot Pride has a retro and a borderless and a foil of each of them and blah, 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 and an etched foil. But like, or the Planeswalkers have the etched foil, whatever. But like, they've tried to tone down the coolness factor of every other card in the set, because Brothers War was last year and that was just miserable. I mean, Ravnica Remastered was at the start of this year. That was like also one of the worst ones. I remember doing the math on how many serialized cards were in that set at one point. It's like, cool, nobody wants serialized Tidespout Tyrant or like Phinogenesis or whatever, just like some garbage bulk rare. Bobbleheads were in Fallout. Those have done reasonably well because they're very collectible as a concept, just like the Eldrazi Titans and the Greek cards. So like I do enjoy the direction they're going with this headliner treatment, and I hope it is a tone down of like every common card doesn't need 18 foils. Every
like serialized 0-500 bone saw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
although it was a nice tribute to Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, they're good meme. Good meme for sure. No, that's all great data, DJ. Thank you for that. And you're right, they are heading in the right direction. I think it's interesting. Jason sort of said I blame it all on capitalism earlier, but it does kind of strike me as the life cycle, product cycle of most things in capitalism. They threw everything at the wall and then they just took the data to see what sticks, and they're drilling down on that as they go, and then they'll bleed it dry. You look at, say, like we all lived, this is something we're going to take for granted if we don't already, we lived through the golden age of streaming platforms where everything was $5 to $6 a month, no commercials. They would make infinite shows that they'd spend crazy.
Our parents got to live through when cable television has a subscription fee, and we do that because we don't have any commercials on cable television.
Right. So we
never will.
Streaming through everything they could at the wall. The ones that, whatever, right? It's worked out how it's worked out. We're all living through it right now. But eventually they started cracking down on the password sharing, didn't they? Once they have you hooked, they just make it a little bit worse, a little zeroing in on.
It's called e-shitification.
It is called that. That is what I'm describing. So not necessarily buying things in Magic, but they did all of these treatments and all of these promo serialized, and they probably realized with the data now, hey, that's too many, or this is too much. And that's when Mark Rosewater gives us these vague Tumblr posts that says, we're listening, we hear you. Maybe this is the kind of outcome of that.
It takes Magic 4 years to do an A/B test. Is the unfortunate reality.
You're right.
Because they're like, sure, we could listen to the people on Twitter, but they're 1% of the community, whether we like it or not. And 99% of the people buy booster packs at Walmart and play unsleeved on a kitchen table.
Well, then
that's not 99%, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well, you have to.
It's so hard to capture the non-enfranchised. Like,
so you can't get that data until you have sales data, right? Which, to DJ's point, it does take
years
for Magic product cycles to release, accumulate data on the release.
I guess,
use
but
that to future releases. It's years.
It only took 2 sets with collector boosters for foil rares to be worth less than non-foil rares. And instead of pumping the brakes like I would have, they hit the gas. So, like, the era of, like, anything being special, we're going to get to the point where, like, the non-foils can be the most valuable. Because each booster pack's going to have 14 foils and 1 non-foil.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Will your non-foil be a rare that you can actually put in your deck and take to F&M and it won't curl and get you DQ'd? Like, the reason that beta was worth more than alpha for so many years is that you could tell if it was an alpha card from the corners, and alpha cards, like, people, like, kind of gentleman banned them from, like, early, I don't know, early unsleeved events, I guess. But the point is, there was a time where, like, beta was more desirable than alpha because it was tournament playable. So you might almost see the same thing with non-foils because everything's foil, everything's curly. And the only thing special is the
Hyper Chase
alternate
version.
Art non-foil.
Well, yeah, the Nexus of Fate is the card that I think is probably going to end up most famous for this. Is that at the Pro Tour, judges were issuing literal proxies in the official tournament definition of the word proxy that you would never expect to see in the year. I mean, it was 2019 or something, but the Nexus of Fate existed only as a box topper promo, which meant it only came in foil, and they were all curled to the point that they were marked cards in a deck in a standard legal event at the Pro Tour, and therefore they had on-camera judge-issued proxies for it. Like, that's kind of brutal. And 5 years later, the cards are still curled. So
it's gotten way better over the past couple years. Like,
I agree.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking, what, was that Commander Legends?
Yes, I unfortunately bought a case of that one.
We all
I
did,
still have the boxes. Well, I think I still have
we all
4 of the
bought
boxes.
cases of Commander Legends for the same reason.
Yeah, and I think I've got them sitting in, I don't even think they're in my closet. I think that's
they're
how
in DJ's, mine are in DJ's closet.
Yeah, I think that's how embarrassed of them I are. I think they're in my buddy's basement with a bunch of other old Magic stuff. Yeah, that sucks.
You store
and I don't
your
ever want to
Magic
open
cards
them.
in somebody else's basement?
When I moved, we dumped a bunch of my old office into his basement.
When did you move? This week?
3 years ago.
Okay.
Well, 2 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
He's got a big basement, man. I got his Pokemon cards on my wall. It's fine.
You have executive dysfunction.
I don't want them in my house, Jason.
He doesn't have a big basement. You have executive dysfunction.
He does have a big basement. I do have executive dysfunction, and I don't want them in my house.
Fair. Do what I did, sell them to DJ.
I put a standing ad up on Facebook Marketplace last week, just selling a 5-row of Magic cards, right? Because I have 5 or 6 that I had picked over the past year sitting in my closet. And so, I just kind of leave the ad up and people reply, and then I sell them a box if it's good enough, right? One person said, yeah. It's like pick bulk, right? Sure. So, $50 a 5-row, and I'll take 40 if someone. They make a few $100 every few months when you get rid of it. Nice, easy if you deal with Facebook Marketplace.
I mean, honestly, those boxes are gonna be worth $10 here.
That's
soon.
Correct. I actually spent $10 yesterday.
I buy collections just to get those.
You spent $10 on a 5-row?
I spent $10 to buy 5-row, yeah, because I desperately needed one, in the moment.
Yeah, not everybody orders ahead on bcw.com, DJ. Not everybody buys.
No, yeah, I was at a store, and Ben and I had just opened a bunch of Pokemon, and I'm like, fuck, I need a box. And they were like, we got big boxes. I'm like, okay, man, sure, give me one. I don't know.
I listen, I sell instant collections, and I will say that
DJ's looking at this
since
really rough.
2019, since 2019, the price of a 660 count box has gone from 89 cents to $2.19. It's been wild out
They-
in box land.
they-
If
they-
anybody who goes through a lot of cardboard knows exactly what the talking about.
They are expensive. They really are.
Because like COVID made the supply real low, and everyone's like, "We'll pay more," and they're like, "Okay, you'll pay more."
One of these, I actually had a like a 2-row box full of cards, and before I went and sold it to the person, I pulled them out and just sat them on top of the 5-row box so that I could keep the 2-row for my buy list box at home. Because Jason's right, they're so annoying if you need like 3, right, and you don't need 30. It is actually annoying to source nice BCW boxes. That's all. But anyway, so this is the point. Someone replied and they said, "Hey, do you take trades?" And I was like, I mean, I don't know. I guess. What are you thinking, right? This is like a $50 ad. And they go, "I guarantee you can't guess what's coming."
My first guess would be
DJ has been offered all kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I've been offered all kind of crazy shit. So if you think you're going to out crazy like a gun or like an RC car,
no, this isn't insane.
I'm gonna guess a dentist appointment.
I got a credit. Got a voucher.
Yeah,
one free cleaning.
socked foot job.
Okay, yeah, it's a little more tame. It was a $250 coffee maker and or a used king size mattress, which I looked in their ad did have stains on it.
Used king size mattress.
Did you take the coffee maker?
I did not. I asked Marianne if she wanted it. She said this coffee maker sucks. And
it's a used coffee maker with stains. It's from the stain house.
It is from the stain house.
It's from the stain house.
So, like on Facebook Messenger, I got the thing that just said, you get the notification. It said, "Do you take trades?" And that was all the message I saw when I opened it. So I was like, "Yeah,
so
sure."
You said yes because like no good story ever starts with "I refused trades."
Oh yeah, I'm definitely. I was obviously it was. Hey, what do you got?
You have to hear what this lunatic has to say.
Yeah. So we declined those things though, and I just sold them for $40-$50. The coffee
did
maker.
Did you get paid electronically, or did he give you stained cash?
Why
do I have an ear infection?
Anyway, yeah, it's just it's just add that story into the pantheon of fun buy sell stories, right? Speaking of fun, it's time for some segos, which are fun. Before we get out of here,
are we calling segment segos? I take 2 weeks off and you pull that bull.
Okay, you can thank Cass for that one, Jason. It's a pretty good one, I think. So here we go with some segos. Breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Breaking bulk is the first. That's the one where we use MTGstocks.com, the #1 source for all your Magic financial information on the internet, to find commons and uncommons, or otherwise, I guess.
We couldn't just call them segs?
We choose cards that people don't know are worth money, but they are. You have them in your bulk. You want to find them, including this blue Wilds of Eldraine uncommon.
Wilds. Oh, is it the signpost?
No, I just saw one. I just grabbed one of these out of my Roka, and I don't.
It's not a trick question. Yeah, you can get it.
Like I just grabbed. It was on the top of the stack of the picks I pulled out of the machine.
And it's not the
look at DJ's brain. DJ realizing in real time that his brain is aging and he can no longer recall things as easily as
struggle as I struggled. You listen to Brainstorm. You listened to Brainstorm Brewery 10 years ago. I sounded pretty sharp compared to now.
This is different.
This is your future, dog.
I offloaded my mental labor to that thing. I didn't just let it disappear and get Thanos snapped. Like, I made a conscious decision to like give it somebody else's
problem. Why don't you ask that thing right now, DJ? Install an AI bot on that thing and ask it what a blue uncommon from Wild.
Oh, he's gonna
pile of cards.
Look at this fucking manager. Look at this manager behavior. He's gonna take credit for his fucking underlings. Oh my god, this is disgusting.
He outsourced the work and he's
he's gonna take credit when he wins this game because I don't know.
CEO behavior here.
Give me a second. I think it was earlier today.
If it's not in that handful, you're gonna look like such a.
You should have been able to think of it by now. It's not hard. It's not a trick. It's one of the most played cards across formats.
I don't know what cards are played in that format.
Oh my god. Any format.
Exactly.
It's played with Arc like Phoenix.
It's
That
from
doesn't-
Wilds of Eldraine.
Yep.
I may be cheating. I don't know. Well, DJ. Let's just scoop, man. Let's move on from
The
this.
75-cent card.
I don't know, dude.
DJ has not scooped yet. DJ, do we have a confession? You'll
Sure.
know
Yeah,
when I
you got
tell
me.
you.
I'm sure
All right.
that somebody will order it from me on Twitter, and I'll be like, "That is $2," and they will say yes, and I will make my money there.
Yep,
That's
it
where
is.
I'll win.
The card played with Arc-like Phoenix as a 4-of and Pioneer is Picklock Prankster / Free the Fae, the adventure part of the card. You look at the top, you mill 4, you put an instant, sorcery, or fairy from among them into your hand. And then you can play it as a 1/3 flying vigilance for 2 mana on the other side to block. This is just a 4-of in all the Phoenix decks because it mills and then it gets you.
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
For fairies. It just does it all. It generally just gets you your either the next Picklock Prankster or it gets you obviously one of your cantrips and so on. It's just an extremely powerful impulse.
Cantrip or won't trip?
Yeah. Anyway, 75 cents Picklock Prankster. Time
Got us.
for you all to try. What do you got?
Well, I had like a $3 one, and before the cast, I kind of softened you guys up. I kind of pitched this a little bit softball, and you were like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe you'll get us with this one." This is a $3 green uncommon from March of the Machine. I sure hope you guys didn't look this up in the meantime. What is
I
it?
did not. March of the Machine is the invasion of set, right? So is this the invasion of double rampant growth?
It's not a battle.
Oh, okay.
It's not the naturalized that proliferates, right? That's Phyrexian Albi one, I think.
Wow, I thought this one would be super easy. This
I
is a
actually played
$3 uncommon.
Yeah, no, I actually played a lot of March of the Machine.
Cool.
Here.
No, I'm glad
I
this
know,
is
I'm
hard.
cool.
I thought this was going to be so obvious that I would look like an asshole, but like it turns out, the March of the Machines is the machines teaching you don't need to know any card prices, even $3 uncommons.
Correct.
Fun fact, Jason, it's March of the Machine, not March
Oh,
of the
shut the
Machines.
Up, dude.
You and every writer. Come on. Get it together. How do you spell Duskmorn?
Corbin, I don't have to care what writers do anymore, okay?
I know. But you were wrong. I don't know the answer to this.
Me neither.
Oh, it is Kami of Whispered Hopes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know the
if one or
card.
more +1/+1 counters would be put on a permanent you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put onto that permanent instead. If it just said that, it would be very good, but it also taps for mana. Kami
Yeah.
of Whispered Hopes, very good magic card in 133,000 decks already.
that's a lot.
Sure.
Yeah,
I knew that card was a pick.
This
I
is
didn't know
having
it
the
was
shit
$3.
played from it, and it's crazy. But I
Love
thought
it.
this would be very easy, but it turns out
No,
there
you got
are
me.
a lot of good cards in that
We're,
set.
we're all
because-
on fire this week, I guess. DJ, what do you got?
I audibled to a different one to make it harder, just so that I wasn't the only one who's got mine guessed today. I riffled through that stack of cards, and I was like, you know what, this one's hard mode. Was enabled that.
I'm surprised to
Okay.
see that card in here. My Roka thought this was a. It's Cruel Deceiver. I think maybe your Roka thought that was a. Oh, that's not worth anything either.
What's
What's
the card,
the card
DJ?
from Champions? Whatever.
Mine is a green uncommon from Morningtide.
Bramblewood Paragon.
No.
What's Morning? Oh, Morningtide. Okay.
It's the I actually named the right set, didn't I? Bramblewood Paragon is from that set.
Yes.
There's a lot of green cards. Is it the one that makes infect tokens?
Three.
No.
This is the one that makes 3 elves.
Oh, sorry, not
tokens?
that up. That's
No.
from Shadowmoor. That's the one that came out.
This card has no reprints. That narrows it down a lot. Because most
Is
everything
it
from
a
Morningtide.
tree folk?
It is a tree folk.
The
Is
one
it the
that
tree folk tutor?
gets you, the one that gets you, Treefolk Harbinger.
No, it's not the tutor. I will accept like the
Dour-
one that does
Dour-
X. You don't
Dour
have
Bark, something. The one that gets you forests or whatever.
To, no, it's not that either.
Oh.
If you name like the ability of the card, I will.
Yeah, let me hear you. Is it the one that discounts your Treefolk?
No.
Woodland Changeling.
Nope.
Or not? Wouldn't have been changed, but anyway.
It's Corbin named all the cards I could remember from the set. Then I named the last one. I don't know.
So green also had a bunch of merfolk in it, but that was a blue-white tribe, wasn't it?
I did
Green-
say yes when Jason asked Tree Folk.
Yeah, but that
So-
could mean anything, man. That whole block, you don't trust something's a tree folk. They're crib swapping and shit. That was a wild set.
Unstoppable Ash.
No,
No, Unstoppable.
It might have been a
That
rare.
was Lorwyn.
that's from Lorwyn.
Yeah. The first deck I ever built was a casual, 64 card Doran deck out of this time period. So
DJ, just tell us,
I'm
or
curious.
Corbin's going to tell us
I
a
guess.
really long-winded
Corbin,
story.
can you tell me the text on Orchard Warden?
you gain life when equal to the toughness 6-drop, right?
Correct. That is a card.
Orchard Warden.
Did not know it was worth money. I have those in that deck if I could find that box. in my
Is it
buddy's
worth
basement.
money, or did your Roka pick it because it thought it was a Bramblewood Paragon? You piece. Did you even look this up?
I did, and it is 54 cents market price, which means you can probably get a quarter from it from Card Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah, it is a legitimate pick. As a matter of fact, it is at an all-time high.
Orchard.
And the
Warden.
foils are over $5.
No, DJ's right. I in my first ever Doran, I put these in there. So it's a good card.
Most everything from Morningtide has been reprinted nowadays. This is one of the few cards that has dodged reprints. Clearly, Morningtide bulk is rare and not exactly just all around. But if you have it, if you're one of those people that just has your bulk in a closet and you just sift through it every year, these were not pickable a couple years ago, and now they are.
Exactly. I hit that box that I sold for bulk to the person. I did a cursory pick through it, and I was pulling cloud shifts and a couple other things that at some point in a reprint cycle were not worth anything, and now they are again. No, that's a good one. I'm looking, by the way, at Morningtide. It's not what you remember it as when it comes to bulk. I'll say that. There's only 5 uncommons worth more than $1. Now, granted, one of them is a $20 Thornbite staff, but that it's not the
Thornbite
font
staff
of
is
$5 cards it once was. Now that said, there are two commons. worth more
everything,
than
yeah, but everything cool got reprinted or made obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one
There's
of those things
a Lord of the Rings Ent that is better than every tree folk from that set.
Yeah, we used to ban almost the entire block of Lorwyn because it was so filled with good bulk. And these days,
Well, we used to say buy any planeswalker under $5. We used to say a lot of on this podcast.
They make some
right?
real cheap planeswalkers. now,
Everything
man.
we said made sense at the time. You go and listen to a Legacy podcast from 10 years ago, what they're
Sure,
saying
it's a good
isn't
point, Jason.
correct for today, but it's still kind of it doesn't sound like insanity. You listen to Brainstorm Brewery episode 112,
Yeah.
where we sound like complete morons.
Well, that's an interesting point, I guess, that it would be if it's a good way to look at it, because it would be I wouldn't feel beholden to say whatever I said was best in the Legacy meta 5 years ago,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be beholden to whatever's best in the MTG Finance meta now. Which, by the way, is
Piracy Charm is main deck playable is a spicy take for today's Legacy, but it doesn't sound I don't know, man. I think you buy any Planeswalker under $5.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to shout out MTGstocks for giving us all of those for that Sego. And while we're on the subject, we use it as well for our picks of the week. All right. Before we get into our picks of the week, let's also touch on another Secret Lair release that is worth talking about. DJ, do you want to go into more details?
So the Secret Lair Commander deck, or the most recent Secret Lair Commander deck, came out, and it is called 20 Ways to Win. If you have not been paying attention, this is the same cycle as the Coin Flip deck, the infamous one that took over a year to ship, the Secret Lair Angels, the Cute to Brute, and was there one after that? The Cat Dog one was the other really, really good one. This one is called 20 Ways to Win. It has 11 different cards with alternate art, and in the past, a lot of these alternate art cards have held a premium, like the Propaganda. All the decks have had a cool art Soul Ringer. Almost all of them have. This one is weirdly raccoon themed. I don't know the history behind the deck or who picked it or whatever, but historically, very cute looking cards are done very well.
We're gonna get so
price-wise.
many angry Japanese tweets now
What?
for not knowing.
Oh, is it a Tanuki?
Or I don't know. I don't know. It just anytime there's a thing, he's like, you don't know who Hatsune Miku is, you idiot. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm just an old man who's not a pervert. I don't know.
The point is, this Secret Lair deck came out, and it's still available to purchase. It came out more than 24 hours ago, so it wasn't one of those Marvel instances where you have to buy it, and oh my god, it's going to get bought out.
Yeah, these are the ones that have actual value, it seems like, because the Cute to Brute's like $100 more than it was when we bought them. And like, I don't know, I got to hold on to all of my Marvel for the next 6 months, hoping it goes up when people get interested when the Marvel set comes out. It seems like this is the better play than like doing the FOMO stuff on the Secret Lair thing. And everyone's got their little trick to like make it actually go to the checkout screen. And it's just a bunch of stressful horse. And then these come out and it's just like, oh, you have weeks to buy them and they're great. And you'll make $100 a year from now. Like, it seems like a no-brainer. They
fixed the HTML cheat code that you could use to get past the Marvel loading screen.
Oh, there were all kinds of cheats.
There were plenty. I believe most or all of them were fixed for this drop. I didn't try any of them. But one interesting thing about this drop is they have reduced the quantity you are allowed to buy to 2 per checkout. So the Marvel drop was limited to 5 per person per product. So you could buy 5 Iron Mans, 5 Rainbow Iron Mans, 5 bundle foils, 5 non-foil bundles with 1 checkout, and then you end up with 20 copies of Iron Man. This one you can only order 2 copies of the deck per checkout, which is
good.
You said it's good?
Well, it depends who you are.
It just makes the botters make more bots.
Well, I think the general reaction from people will be good so that scalpers can't get it. It's a lot, like it's a deck, right? So it's more than...
I don't disagree that the public reaction to this is more positive.
Oh.
Go ahead. Yes, so go ahead and explain it to
scalpers. People. Can you imagine? Scalpers?
Can you explain why this might not work out the way people wanted to?
We're the scalpers, dude. This is a scalper podcast. What the are you talking about?
I am trying to present the general reaction so that you can tell people what they should know. Go ahead.
So if you're familiar with the Thassa's Oracle Secret Lair, that Thassa's Oracle foil is like over $100 for that version. And that's because it is the really cool version of Thassa's Oracle. They just made a Future Sight Mr. Booster 2 one, but like the Secret Lair one's the cool one. And the reason it is over $100 is because that Secret Lair was print to demand, which is the really cool, awesome way to print Secret Lairs that everyone keeps asking for. You should print it to demand. You should only print as many as are demanded. You should only print as many as demanded. Don't do.
Why is it taking a year for me to get my coin flip deck? This is unreasonable.
Well, there's that, but
I'm sorry. I was doing the other line that same guy says.
No, I know, but like there is that like side of things of print to demand taking longer, but they've actually solved a lot of those issues recently and amped up the print run. So this deck ships like December 4th, which is tomorrow as we're recording. But the other aspect of that is if the deck has low demand or has low sales data when it's on the market, and then people forget about it or aren't aware that it comes out, or the marketing wasn't good or whatever, and then people see these cards in the wild 6 months to a year later, or something like that, then if the average customer only does buy 1 to 2, and if stores can only buy 1 or 2, like me, then the single supply will be much, much, much lower than the stores who are used to being able to buy everything in the medium term. So like the Cute to Brute deck, I brought 5 of each. The coin flip deck, I think I bought 30. And like I've bought the max quantity allowed just because I want to have the singles in stock and crack the deck so that I can have inventory in these cabinets back here. And a lot of the print to demand Secret Lairs, not a lot of them, but select ones that have very good cards in them that become good later on, or like weren't marketed very well, or there's some other product coming out at the time, those singles tend to do really, really well price-wise down the road. So like if this Raccoon Tanuki Soul Ring comes out and everybody who can buy one just buys 1 or 2, and the big quantity volume sellers are like, you know what, normally I buy 30 of each, but I can only buy 2, so I'll just buy 2 for my store. And then like down the road we don't get any more of this. That is how we get like $100 Revelin Riches or like
Yeah.
$40 Felidar Sovereign because it has a cat on it or something like that. And like there are, I'm not saying ultra limited print run secret layers are the answer. I'm saying that there are a lot of downsides to just print to demand that aren't always considered, because print to demand can mean a much lower supply than would be if they were a limited print run. Does that make sense?
Print to demand, we print what the number of the last decks were pre-ordered or some shit like that. I don't know.
That's a great explanation. All right.
I agree. And I have a secret layer-based pick of the week, actually.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, let's hear it, Jason.
Well, people are going to be building Wolverine because every nerd thinks they're original, and
the best
they
there
all
is.
like Wolverine. He is the best there is. And to be the best there is, wouldn't you love some Lizard Blades to have double strike with? Lizard Blades is a card that's not going away. It's in 70,000 decks. It gives a creature double strike. It's 2 mana to play and 2 mana to equip, and it gives double strike. It's the cheapest mana-wise artifact that does that. What are you giving double strike to outside a red deck? Exactly. Lizard Blades, they are the best there is at being double strikey blades. Give them to Wolverine. Snick, Berserker Barrage. Right? Didn't you watch X-Men, Corbin?
No.
Not really.
You didn't watch the X-Men animated series? Is that because it went off the air in like 1998 and you were like 4 then?
Not exactly.
That's how old I was.
Yeah, the years match up there for DJ. I did watch some of it, but not, like you obviously are my age, Jason. You understand how it was trying to watch cartoons in the 90s, right? Like you either caught something on Saturday morning or you were at soccer, And like if the VCR would sometimes not record if it was on a different channel or something, right?
We didn't record cartoons. We just like saw a couple episodes a season of everything.
Well, that was how it worked, right? But like the good thing about Toonami is that they'd have 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z every day, and the first one was the last one from the day before, so you'd always have a chance, and you could record. Like anyway, I was a big set my VCR to record Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh and whatever else on Saturday mornings.
Nah, why do that when you can go to Suncoast and pay $12 for a VHS tape that has 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z on it?
Suncoast was intense, but I actually, as a kid, collected a number of those Dragon Ball Z VHSs because they line up as pictures when you put them on a shelf.
To impress your many visitors.
Besides,
Yeah.
Anyway, my pick of the week comes from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and it's a card that's just started to move over the past week or two. It's moved from $3 to $4. I think it's probably going to end up between 5 to 10. Hobgoblin Bandit Lord. Nothing incredibly complicated about this one. It's just a 2/3 goblin for 3 other goblins get +1/+1. But for 1 red and a tap, it deals damage equal to the number of goblins that entered the battlefield under your control this turn to any target. And I think it's those last 2 words that are really important.
Oh, that is an AFR card.
Yeah.
That is some 10th edition art on that AFR
sure
card.
Is, right? But yeah, the fact that you can deal it to any target means that this can be a combo finisher for all kinds of number of decks. And obviously Foundations is pushing nice, simple magic, clean designs. This fits into those kind of shells. And it's it had already jumped once at the beginning of the year when it came off from $1 up to 2 or 3. And it's starting to move.
Yeah.
The Hobgoblin Bandit Lord pretty strong.
Yeah.
There are lots of $2 copies of this still available.
Yeah. DJ, what do you
and the borderless version is really, that's still like $3 too.
So
I like the borderless at like the same-ish price.
I mean, all copies of that card are around $3, right? If you want, it's going to be a $5 card at a minimum, right? Like maybe it ends up settling in that, but it's certainly not going to be any cheaper.
Well, it's $4 already on Card Kingdom and it's sold out. It's cool. All right, that's a good pick. DJ, do you have a red card?
I do actually. Mine is red-blue though, and it is a modern card, which is outside my wheelhouse normally. But I am looking at an MTGstocks graph and making a call that Flame of Honor is at the bottom of its roller coaster right now. This is a card that came out as basically a bulk rare. Nobody really cared anything about it, whatever. And then Snapcaster Mage, the all reliable, the little SpongeBob spatula, all reliable, came back. Snapcaster Mage, thriving in the year of our Lord, and turns out this card is really good when you get to choose not 2 modes but 4.
Yeah.
And cards down to like $1.50, $2 now, and I think part of that is just like it's not Modern Season, and Modern is, again, we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. The One Ring is sort of has its boot on the neck of the format, along with Boros Energy. And I think that if there are some bans that realign Modern's infrastructure, I think that you want to own a playset of this card before it is $5 again, because it has been $5 multiple times in the past year and a half that has been alive. So
the most
and this
terrifying
is getting non-trivial EDH play also.
Yeah, the most terrifying place for this card is in the tempo shells. Like, it's especially extreme on Arena when you play Historic or something like that, because they've rebalanced the Wizard, the 03 from Strixhaven or something dumb, and now it Magecrafts gives it plus 3/0.
Ooh.
So it's in these Delver type decks where Flame of Arnor tends to actually just be backbreaking, because you'll remove a couple of their creatures thinking you're safe, and then they just draw 2 and kill your creature or whatever on the end step, and that's before you even start talking about Snapcaster shenanigans. And I think, like DJ's right, once you remove Boros Energy from the equation, it opens up a lot of things, and Flame of Arnor has been in a lot of shells across formats. It tells you the power level is there.
I also
the
think it's
borderless
kind
version of this has different art also.
Mm-hmm.
But
I also think
like
this
way
card
more
is
expensive.
kind of weird to reprint. Like, I know that they have said we can do universes within of Lord of the Rings cards. We can and we will. We haven't really seen it yet, and we haven't seen what the quantity they would do. My expectation going forward is that I think we will have a set either next year or in 2016 that is like a universes within just set of like, this is like 200 something cards. All of these cards already exist, so it's kind of like a master set, but like you're just getting additional SKUs of everything.
Bookkeeping masters.
Do you think
what a
they'll do
nightmare.
bookkeeping? Do you think they'll do that, DJ, or do you think that
I think-
they just have that as a boilerplate so that they can print them into sets when they want?
Yeah,
you know?
they have that as just one more way to
the baseball bat is the one you told me about a month ago or whatever, right? I didn't even realize that it just got reprinted into a set at some point.
Oh, are you talking about the Negan's Lucille being Gisa's favorite shovel?
Yeah.
I would rather they do one universes within set that just all encompasses all of the cards we actually care about, instead of just adding like 4 SKUs to every other set going forward.
Yeah, so it's hard to know if, like, because they absolutely could do a Masters type set of it and it gives them another product to sell, and then they have the in-universe versions of all those cards when they need them moving forward for reprints, right? Or if it's just, I wonder if it's just a boilerplate, if they come up into a set and they say, hey, Flame of Arnor would be a great reprint here, but that's an LTR card, so rename it, like.
I think
I
that
wonder.
Makes the average experience of the person opening a pack much more miserable when we are trying to force this like standard only pack thing.
Oh boy, that $1 like started at $1, ended up at completely bulk land. Oh, it got reprinted again to give it a different in-universe name. Why
I
are we
opened
doing
my
this?
standard legal booster pack and got a Flame of Onor, but I can't play it in standard because it has a different name. Like, I don't think that is a good experience. I think you have to streamline it to like, this is a non-standard set. It's just the One Ring. It's just some Fallout card that spiked like pre-war formal gear or whatever. Like, I think you have to put all of those into one set a year.
Interesting. Okay. I like the idea.
It's pre-war formal wear. It's literally like a suit and tie.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what's crazy about it. Like, I have a nice looking suit and tie. What does it do? It f***s up Legacy, and it gives you no extra. It gives you +1 charisma in Fallout and ruins Legacy. I mean, it gives you +1 charisma. It's non-trivial. You put that on. You put on your pre-war formal wear. You spritz on some Daddy-O, and you can seduce just about any woman or robot in the Commonwealth.
Great. There you go. It's a Commonwealth apparently in Fallout.
Fallout 4 specifically.
Good to know. I think that pretty much does it for us here on Brainstorm Brewery this week. We want to thank all of you as always.
Are we done? No more podcast? Thank God.
And on that note, we'll see you all next week. Remember,
every Brainstorm Brewery episode is the last episode. Remember that.
Yeah, last episode ever.
Listen to every episode as if it's your last.
And that is why you should go to Coalesce Apparel and Design. Use that gift code Brainstorm Brewery for 5% off your order, because hey, you may never know when you hear this ad pitch again. So thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to our patrons, of course, at patreon.com/BSB. You are the ones who truly make this podcast possible.
And you're the only ones who are still listening to it.
That's right. We'll see you next week, everybody.